What if death did not exist? The inevitability of death has shaped the very foundation of human existence, dictating our values, social structures, relationships, and even our philosophical inquiries. But what if death ceased to exist altogether? What if human beings were immortal, and death was no longer a boundary or an end? In this video, we examine how such a reality might transform our lives across multiple dimensions, from ethics to environment, from psychology to economics. The disappearance of time-based urgency. Without death, the idea of a deadline would lose its meaning, quite literally. People would no longer feel pressure to accomplish things before it's too late, because there would always be more time. Career goals, academic pursuits, or even artistic endeavors could be endlessly postponed. This might reduce stress initially, but over time it could foster deep procrastination and existential apathy. Life would no longer feel like a race, but possibly like an endless loop. Unchecked population growth and resource depletion. If people continued to reproduce while no one died, the global population would soar to unsustainable levels. Even with strict birth control policies, resources like food, water, housing, and energy would become incredibly scarce. Cities might sprawl into megastructures or descend into chaotic overcrowding. Agricultural systems would collapse under pressure, and wars over water or arable land could become commonplace. Relationships and family ties would mutate beyond recognition. Imagine still being married to someone after 500 years. Without death, relationships would become chronically long-term or episodic, and family trees might become so complex they're impossible to navigate. Traditional roles like mother or child could lose all meaning when everyone is eternally aging, but never dying. The psychological burden of eternal life. Living forever might sound liberating, but it could also become a form of psychological imprisonment. Without the natural closure that death provides, people might fall into existential fatigue, emotional numbness, or what philosophers call eternal recurrence, the endless repetition of meaninglessness. Depression could take new forms, and mental health would require entirely new frameworks of care and understanding. Ethical inequality and the politics of immortality. If death were eliminated through technology or biotechnology, access to it would likely be uneven. The wealthy might monopolize immortality, leading to a new class divide: the eternal elite versus the mortal masses. Questions like, who gets to live forever, would become violently political. It might even lead to rebellions or acts of sabotage from those who feel excluded from the privilege of eternal life. Economic paralysis and the end of retirement. If nobody dies, then nobody retires. Jobs would become permanently occupied, and younger generations would struggle to find purpose or employment. Hierarchies would freeze, and upward mobility might vanish altogether. Economies would be forced to reinvent themselves around a non-aging workforce, possibly through rotational labor models or enforced sabbaticals lasting centuries. Stagnation of cultural and political systems. Generational change is a major driver of political and cultural innovation. When older generations cling to power indefinitely, society may become stuck in outdated ideologies. Imagine a political system still dominated by ideas from 200 years ago because their creators never died. Without generational turnover, revolutions, renaissances, and reform movements could all come to a halt. The collapse or rebirth of religion. Most major religions are deeply rooted in the concept of death, afterlife, rebirth, or divine judgment. If humans stopped dying, these belief systems might unravel or evolve into new forms. Heaven and hell would become irrelevant. Rituals like funerals or mourning would disappear. New spiritual philosophies might emerge. Ones focused not on what comes after death, but how to endure eternity. Environmental systems would spiral toward collapse. The Earth is already suffering under the strain of billions of people. An immortal population would push ecosystems past the point of recovery. Deforestation, global warming, mass extinction, and ocean collapse would accelerate. Even immortals cannot live without breathable air, clean water, or fertile soil. Unless humanity finds a way to colonize other planets, we could become victims of our own survival. Technological innovation may stall or spike. The drive to innovate is often tied to urgency, to the sense that life is short and progress is necessary. Without that, some might lose interest in discovery altogether. On the other hand, immortal scientists and engineers could accumulate knowledge over centuries, leading to breakthroughs that are impossible in a normal human lifespan. The pace of innovation could either plateau or skyrocket, depending on how human curiosity evolves. Artistic expression would drift into the surreal. Art is deeply entwined with themes of loss, beauty, decay, and mortality. Without death, artists might shift toward abstract, surreal, or repetitive works reflecting the endlessness of time. The emotional rawness of grief or the poignancy of impermanence might disappear. What replaces them could be a new aesthetic based on complexity, memory, and timelessness, or possibly a strange emotional numbness. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.